KCBD Investigates team continues to receive emails about a sewer line ordinance that affects every property owner in the city limits of Lubbock.
Our latest report aired last night after the council spent more than an hour discussing the issue but didn't take any action. KCBD News Channel 11's investigative reporter Shaylee Kidwell has answers to your questions. Shaylee?
Karen and Abner, 10 meetings and more than 400 hours. That's how long a volunteer ad hoc committee spent on research and discussion of the City of Lubbock sewer lateral line ordinance. Now, if you've missed our previous reports, here's a better look at what we are talking about and how it affects every property owner in this city. This portion of your sewer line, from your home or business to your fence line, well, that is your responsibility. You pick the plumber to do the repairs and you pay that bill. But this section of line right here, from the fence line to the city tap, well, that's typically in a public right-of-way like a street or an alley, and it's the city's responsibility for now. It hasn't always been this way. Property owners used to pay for repairs and replacements to that section of line, but Wood Franklin, the city's division director of public works, said the city took over the responsibility around 2006.
A lot of fiber optic coming into Lubbock at that time. Also, we started requiring the electrical, instead of being overhead, to be buried. So there was more franchise utilities that were underground in the alleys. A majority of those alleys were not paved at that time. We also didn't have our more stringent compaction standards that we have today. So licensed plumbers or whoever was going out in the alleys working on that, and we were getting compaction failures. We were seeing cut utilities and just work that doesn't really meet the par that we wanted to see in that alley. So we wound up taking that over at that time.
Franklin says city crews now spend half of their time working on these private sewer lateral lines, which he says is causing delays in maintenance on public water and public wastewater systems.
We saw valve maintenance and we saw fire hydrant maintenance take the largest hit. So we were seeing those facilities and those infrastructures starting to degrade, and we were having more and more outages in our fire hydrants.
Last year, council voted to shift the responsibility back to property owners to free up city crews and money. But property owners tell us this change cost them thousands of dollars.
$10,000 to $15,000 is kind of the estimate that I had been hearing.
I got the estimate in, and that's, $6,500.
They came out and told me it was going to be $3,500.
We took their complaints to city council, who reverted the ordinance and created that ad hoc committee to review the issue. The committee returned with a hybrid solution. The city pays for a portion of the repairs, and so does the property owner. It's an idea Mayor Mark McBrayer and District 6 Councilman Tim Collins like.
I still like a hybrid solution to it, where the homeowner bears the first cost and a higher amount would be paid if that were the case by the city.
Franklin says whether the city adopts a hybrid solution or continues to handle all repairs itself, it needs more money. So how do we fund the work? Well, there are a couple of options. One is to raise the wastewater rate for everyone. Council discussed possibly raising it by $1 or $1.50 a month. They could also increase the flow rate by 1% per every 1,000 gallons of water. District 5 City Councilwoman Dr. Jennifer Wilson says she has a problem with this.
And we don't know how our citizens are going to feel about every single person paying for their neighbor's private property. I keep struggling with that. One of the biggest things we all hear about is taxes. Doesn't matter what you call it. We call it a rate, we call it a fee, we call it whatever. It's still a tax. We all still pay for it.
City staff researched how other cities across the state handle this issue. In Plainview, Abilene, and Amarillo, property owners are responsible for their portion of line in a right-of-way. Odessa also puts the financial responsibility on property owners, but requires them to use a registered plumber. In San Angelo, the ordinance states it's the property owner's responsibility, but a supervisor with the city says the city actually handles the work. In Irving, near Dallas, Austin, and Fort Worth, the financial responsibility falls on the city. There are also a handful of cities that use a hybrid approach. Franklin says they also came across more unique solutions.
Richardson currently has an interesting situation. It's an interim project that they're doing, but they're going on 5 years of this interim project. And it's the adjacent property owner's responsibility. However, if the property owner pays for a clean out at the property line and that line is verified clean and clear at the time that that's done, The city will then take ownership of that and maintenance of that line in the alley.
After hearing this presentation, the majority of council members shared the same sentiment as District 4 Councilman Braden Rose. The cost should fall on property owners.
We have a funds problem. I mean, this all this is. This is, are you going to raise the rates for everyone to pay for an individual problem, or are you going to raise the rates for one person for their problem? What I am leaning toward is that the individual's burden needs to be taken on by them.
The plan most council members supported includes shifting the financial responsibility back to property owners by January 1st, 2025. City staff says this would give them time to create an education program to notify residents about the upcoming change. Staff says it would also give them time to create an assistance program to help low-income property owners. Now, no decisions have been made, and we'll make sure to let you know when council takes a final vote. Karen Namner.
Thank you, Shaylee.